my channel. It has been a while. I'm very happy to see all of you, those of you that are still here, and if some of you navigated away because it had been 2 years since I posted something, I totally understand. I hope you come back. If you don't, though, that is fine. So I want to first say this video is going to be two things. The first thing, it's going to be a where I've been video to kind of give you an explanation of why I haven't been here. The second thing is going to be a March TBR. So I'll try to get through this first part as quickly as I can because I know that not everybody cares about the comings and goings of my life, but I just felt like I kind of owe you guys who were watchers, who did comment and try to interact with me, and know that I very much appreciate that. I kind of feel like I should give you an explanation for where I've been. So when I initially joined BookTube, it was a coping mechanism after the death of my daughter. I had several different types of coping mechanisms. I had several different things I was doing to distract myself from the reality of my life. That's just what it is. I really enjoyed it, but I had no direction. I had nothing that I was looking to do. I had no idea what I was doing, and I felt like I needed to be a certain way to fit in. I felt like I had to interact with everybody. I felt like I had to watch everybody's videos. I felt like I had to be posting so many times a week. It got to the point where I wasn't reading at all and I wasn't doing anything else I enjoyed. And I felt like I was failing BookTube. I felt like I was failing every other area of my life. And it just got to a point, you know, additionally, Twitter. Like, Twitter's great for a lot of things, but it is a soul-sucking time sucker. Like, there was no way that I was going to be productive with anything on Twitter. So I've stepped away from Twitter. You won't find me there anymore. I am on Instagram under the same name, which is now Constellation Library. Previously it was the Bookish Witch. Previously I went by Siren. I worked in an educational setting at the time, so I was trying to be as incognito as you can be on the internet. But now we're not doing that anymore. My name is Rachel. For those of you who didn't know, some of you did, but that is my name. Nice to meet you. And now we are Constellation Library, so welcome. But I say all of that to say that I just needed a break. So I stepped away from BookTube for about 2 years. I want to say it was the end of 2018, 2019 when I decided that I was done. So into 2018, beginning of 2019, I was just like, I need to stop because I'm not doing anything I enjoy. There's too much pressure. My mental health is in the toilet. I just have to stop. I took 2 years off. I really needed to take some time for myself and get myself together, try to figure out who I was now, without the distractions of all the coping mechanisms that I was trying to do. I had to really deal with my trauma and try to build a future. So my husband and I, for the last 2 years, have been trying to have a child, and it was a very stressful time. I wasn't doing anything I liked doing because I just couldn't stop thinking about every month not being pregnant. If you've gone through fertility issues, if you've gone through child loss, any of that, I think that you probably understand the disappointment that happens every month when you're still not pregnant, not seeing those little lines. So it was really hard for a while. And then March of 2020, like a week before the pandemic started, I mean, it had happened already, but a week before the US went into lockdown, basically, my husband and I found out that we were pregnant with our son, which was absolutely amazing and absolutely terrifying at the same time. So I couldn't, again, even though I was super happy, I still was just so consumed with worry that he was going to have the same health issues as his sister that it was very difficult for me to relax and do anything. So I wasn't reading then either. Plus I felt like shit. I mean, first trimester, I felt like shit. So then after that, and plus COVID, it was just it was a bad year to be pregnant. So then he ended up coming in October, the end of October, and he has just been such a light in my life and has really helped heal a lot of the trauma that I had. There's trauma still there, and he doesn't replace my daughter at all, but he helps me cope in a healthy way with her. And he makes me so happy. I can't talk enough about how wonderful he is. But you guys don't want to hear about that. I just am in a lot better headspace now. And so I wanted to kind of revisit some of the things that I used to enjoy doing. And I've thought over the last couple years about coming back to BookTube because when I would read a book, I'm like, man, I just really want to talk about this. And I wouldn't have anyone to talk to because apart from one or two other people, a lot of my friends right now are not in positions in their lives where they have time to read. So it was just like, I have all these things I want to talk about and I can't. But now I'm in a position where I feel like I could post occasionally, and I'm not going to be posting as much as most booktubers do. Like once or twice a month right now is going to be the best I can do, because I have a 4-month-old son. He is very needy, as is expected, and I want to be there. Like, he is my number one priority. I will drop literally everything to spend time with him and his father. I also started grad school back up. I took a short leave of absence when I was close to my delivery date, and I need to get back to it and finish my degree. So the classes started March 1st, and I'm going to be doing that. So, and I also work full time. So there are lots of things that are going to be in the way of me filming a lot, but I don't want to film a lot. I want to film things I enjoy. So the kind of content that you can expect from me moving forward, I am going to be doing TBRs and wrap-ups. Sometimes they'll be separate videos. Sometimes they might be the same video. I might wrap up what I read that last month and then put the TBR that I plan to read for the following month in the same video. Hauls and unhauls, lists, you know, top 5 this, top 10 that, most anticipated, most disappointing, favorite books of the year, reading vlogs, you know, that kind of thing. Those are the types of content that I like watching, so I want to film the things that I enjoy watching. If those are things that you don't enjoy watching, you are under no obligation to watch them. But I'm filming things that I like and that I would want to watch. So that is what you can expect from me moving forward. And I hope that that is something that is interesting to you. So let's go ahead and get into the TBR. I have been trying to film this video for several days, so a couple of the books that are on it I have already read for the month, but they were still on my TBR for this month, so I'm going to talk about them. It is the 7th, so this video is going to be going up pretty late. It might even go up, who fucking knows when it's going to go up, but it is what it is. You guys, I hope, will understand. So the first book that I have for the month of March that I would like to read is The Dragon Republic by R.F. Quang. I apologize if I butchered that. I hope I didn't, but I might have. So I initially read The Poppy War back when I was still doing BookTube, and somehow I missed all of the discussion about the trigger warnings and content warnings that went along with that book. I don't know what rock I was sleeping under. It must have been a very large rock, because I literally went into that book having no idea what to expect. And it really fucked me up. Like, to be quite honest, I was not in a good place, not in a good headspace to read that. Most of the book was wonderful, but then I got to the end, and the things that happened at the end of that book were hella triggering, like just really, really, really hard for me. So I stepped away from the series. And I'm in a better headspace now, and I would like to finish it. I've had the books on my shelves for a while, and I really liked The Poppy War. It wasn't that I didn't like it. I don't know. I wasn't ready for it. So I'm ready to continue now. A lot of people have read The Poppy War, but if you haven't, the main character, Ren, she is a war orphan, and her guardians are pretty shitty people, criminals, and just basically make her a servant in the house. And she is from Rooster Province in the country of Nikan, I believe. And she's pretty dark skinned, and she takes this test in order to get into Sinigard, which is, I think, like a military academy. And nobody believed that she was going to pass this test. Nobody thought that she had what it would take to do that. But she gets a mentor who teaches her everything that she needs to know. She teaches herself a lot of things that she needs to know, and she ends up acing the test and getting into Sinigard, which is like, nobody expected that at all. And when she gets there, she's treated really badly because they just see her as a stupid peasant girl, dark-skinned girl who is there either because she cheated or because she got lucky or whatever. So she deals with a lot of discrimination when she's in the school, but she does have one friend, and he helps her kind of navigate things and feel less alone. And she also develops a rivalry with a rich young man, and there's a lot of things that happen there that are very frustrating to read. And Sinigard, the purpose of it is to just prepare everyone for battle. They believe that war could come up at any time, and it eventually does in the latter half of the book. So which is no surprise because the book is called The Poppy War. So I don't think that anyone expected there to not be a war in it. So I don't think that's a spoiler. So she also discovers that she has very crazy powers, and I'm not going to tell you what those powers are, but I'm interested to see how they manifest and continue on into this book and how she deals with everything that happened at the end of the first book. So pretty excited for that one. The next book on my TBR is a graphic novel, and I know nothing about this, but it looked interesting. It was totally cover, and it is the Marked Volume 1 Fresh Ink. It is an Image comic. Image comics are my favorite, and I think that the art is beautiful, and I really don't know a whole lot about it. I think the premise is that the marked are young people and their tattoos are magical, and they, I guess, protect them, or they help them protect others. So I'm definitely interested to see what there is to see with this. The next thing that I hope to read this month is Solutions and Other Problems by Ali Brush. If you have ever read Hyperbole and a Half, you know that it's very entertaining. I've heard that this particular one is less funny, more serious, kind of real life things for Ali Brush. I think that it's more of like a therapeutic situation here. That's just really what I've heard. I don't know for sure. But I really liked her first book, so I hope that I will like this one just as much. It's pretty thick, but it's little tiny like vignette type stories. There's not really, nothing's super cohesive. So the next book is one that I did finish right at the beginning of March, and it is one that I read the majority of in February, and I did film a vlog. Not sure if it's going to end up going up or not, but if it does, then you will see, you know, how I felt, my reaction to it. But the book is A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kimmerer. This is the third and final book in the Curse So Dark and Lonely series. I really enjoyed the first two books in the series, and this one I also really enjoyed. Started out a little hairy, wasn't sure if I still cared, which is kind of sad to say, but it had been a long time. I'd read the second one when it, like, immediately when it came out, so it has been like a year or better since I had been in this world, so it took me a little bit to get back into it. But I'll give a more in-depth review on this in my wrap-up at the end of the month. But I was definitely happy to get this one, to finish it, and then I can check that series off my list of ones that I have finished. The next book, and the second book that I have already finished this month, and probably so far my favorite book of the year, but I will again give you more about that later, is Hollowpox by Jessica Townsend. This is the third installment of the Morgan Crow series. I have heard that there are supposed to be at least 3 more, which is very exciting. If you had not ever heard of this series, or, which I don't know how you wouldn't have, because everybody and their brother on BookTube seems to have read it. It is middle grade, and it is, there's just so much to it. It's so good. So Morgan Crow is considered a cursed child in her homeland, and has just a really terrible upbringing after her mother dies, and her stepmother is terrible to her, her father is terrible to her, pretty much everybody treats her terribly. And she believes that she's cursed, and bad things always happen to people because of her, and just in general, she leads a very depressing life. And then one day, a man named Jupiter North comes and basically rescues her from this life that she is living, and takes her into another land called Nevermore. So Jupiter becomes her patron, and she has to compete in trials in order to become part of the Wondrous Society. That's the goal. And she doesn't believe that she has any wondrous powers. Nothing has manifested, but Jupiter can see that she does. He won't tell her really, but he knows that there's power inside of her. And so she goes through these trials, she makes friends, and the story just kind of takes off from there. I don't want to give too much away, but the villain in this series is excellent. I get all the warm and fuzzies from the series that I got the first time I read Harry Potter, with none of the problematic content or turf energy that we get from She Who Shall Not Be Named. If you've noticed anything problematic in this series, let me know. I haven't noticed anything, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But to me, so far, until someone tells me otherwise, this series is pretty much perfect. So I was so excited to read this. The audiobooks for these are fantastic. Highly, highly, highly recommend. I'll be doing a whole other video on this series at some point, but because I just love it that much. So this was the second book I already read this month, and I just love it so much. I can't recommend it enough. But again, we'll talk more about that later. The next book is another graphic novel, and it is called Seance Tea Party by Ramina Yi. And it is very, to me, reminiscent of Tea Dragon Society. Like, that's the vibes I get from it. And I didn't realize until after I got it from the library that the author, creator of Tea Dragon Society was the one who wrote the little review on the back. So that was pretty exciting. My spidey senses were definitely tingling. But basically, what I understand about this is that there is a girl and there's a ghost that lives in her house, and she befriends this ghost and has a hard time making friends with the living. And so she has a friendship with this ghost, and it talks about, you know, their escapades together, and it's kind of a coming of age sort of story from what I've gathered. But the art is so cute, and I'm just really excited. I've been thinking about this one for months, and I was super excited to see it at the library, so I picked it up. The next book is Piranesi by Suzanna Clarke. So I do know that the people who tend to like this book enjoyed Circe, which I also super love, by Madeline Miller, and they also enjoyed The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, which is another one of my favorite books. So that kind of caught my eye. All I know really about the story is that Piranesi lives in a house, and the house is endless and just perpetual. There's all kinds of different rooms, and there's somebody else who lives in the house with him who he's on a quest to learn things with. The other person is called The Other, and then they find out that there is an additional person who lives there, and from my understanding is not good. So it is him learning all the different secrets of this house and trying to basically understand that there is a world beyond the world that is in this house. So that could be a really terrible description. If you've read this, I could be really screwing it up, but I have no idea what to expect, other than I hope that I really like it because I like the books it's been compared to. And the final book that I hope to read this month is Paper Girls Volume 6. This one is by Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang, Matt Wilson, and Jared Fletcher. So there are several artists and writers with this. I have read all the others. This is number 6. And I, again, Image Comics, absolutely adore Image Comics. So I'm pretty excited to read this one as well. I picked a lot of graphic novels this month because it is my first month back doing classes. And I'm hopeful that I'll be able to get through some of my backlist of graphic novels this month. But again, this is a pretty ambitious TBR. Thankfully, 2 of them I already read before classes actually fully started. I'd read the majority of them in February and just finished them in March. But I think that this is doable. I hope that this is doable. So yeah, we will just have to see how it goes, and at the end of the month I'll check back in with my wrap up and we'll kind of discuss my feelings on all of those. So I really thank you guys for being here. I thank you guys for watching. I hope that you will stick around. If you liked what you saw, please hit that subscribe button, like the video, all the things that you do with YouTube videos if you want to. And otherwise, I hope you guys have an excellent week and happy reading. Bye!